Hello again, this is the last video I'm going to make on statistics. So this time, whoa, oh gosh, that's a good start. This time we're going to talk about outliers. Okay, now the reason we talk about outliers is because sometimes some pieces of data actually ruin our analysis of them. So let's say, for example, that everyone did a test and most people got sort of 40 or 50%. Let's say it was a really hard test, like that one that everyone did so terribly in last year. Let's say, for example, most people got about 40 or 50%, but one person got 92%. Now, if you took the average of everyone's score, that one person who got 92% would push the average right up and would actually skew the data. So the average wouldn't actually be an accurate representation of how everybody went. So sometimes we can leave out some pieces of data simply because it doesn't actually reflect how most people scored. So that's why we do this. Okay, so let's start with a table as we normally do. So this can be our class interval and our frequency. And we're going to go all the way to 100 this time, just so we can see what it looks like when we have lots of data. Because only having a little bit of data is actually not going to help us with outliers, because that doesn't usually happen when you have small amounts of data. Okay. Sorry, it's going to take a second. Oops, not 8. Okay, so let's talk about how much we might have in here. Let's say most people sort of scored in here and here. Okay, let's say we got one person who did really, really terribly. We got one person who did quite well up here and two people who did really well up here. But still, most of the group is scoring in this range, okay? So now what we can do is what we've been doing before. We're going to draw a cumulative frequency curve, okay? Now this is possibly going to be slightly dodgy because clearly I'm not ruling this very well. So what we need to do is, remember, Lockie, we are going to make this one our frequency. Okay, so the vertical one is always the frequency, and these are going to be our scores. Okay, let's say the scores are out of 100. So we need to go up to 100. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Okay, let's write it in. This just looks like one giant long number, doesn't it? You know what I mean. Okay, and up here, how many numbers do we need? Well, let's add them up and find out. We've got 1, 5, 10, 11, 13. So we have 13 things all up, okay? So let's go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so we actually need to go up to here. All right, 1, 2. So we've only got 13, so I decided to go up by ones, but often you can go up by 2s or 5s or even 10s if you've got stacks of data, okay? So let's figure out, remember where we put our dot is exactly halfway of the class interval. So our first dot is going to go in the 5 bit, okay? So 5 and 1. We had one person who got this kind of score. Then we don't have anything until we get to the 30-40 range, okay? And then we've got 4 more. So remember, it's not 4, it's 4 more than we've already got. So we're actually going to go up to 5. Whoa. We're going to go up to 5. Then between 40 and 50, we had another 5, so we're going to go all the way up to 10. Then over to 80 to 90, where we have 1, so we'll go up 1 more, sit on 11. And then in 90 to 100 we had 2, so let's go up to 13. Now you can see the graph is going to curve very sharply in the middle here and be a fairly gentle curve everywhere else, okay? Oh, stop that. So we're going to go up gently and then really steep, and then we're off to a gentle slope again, okay? So this is not a very straight line. We can tell that most of our scores are sitting in this area just here. So let's start looking at how we can work things out. So what's the first thing we know how to do? I'm actually going to change colours for this. All right, so the first thing we know how to do is find the median. Remember, the median is n plus 1 over 2. What's n? It's the number of scores we have. So n this time is 13 because we have 13 different scores, don't we? 13 plus 1 is 14, divided by 2 is 7. The mean is not 7. Please don't think it's 7. It's the 7th score, isn't it? So let's go up and find score number 7. Here it is. Let's go and see what it would be. So the 7th score is about here, let's go down, looks like it's about 40, okay? So the median, is actually 40, not 7. This is a big mistake people are making. Okay, the mean score is 40. Now, same thing, let's have a look at the 25th percentile. So we need to find the interquartile range, don't we? So interquartile range is the upper quartile, which is, remember, it's a 75th percentile, minus the lower quartile, which is the 25th percentile. Now, let's have a look at finding that. Now, the problem is, because this is our frequency, not a percentage, you can't just look at it and go, oh, there's 25%. You can't guess either. Some people were going, oh, it's about there. Please don't do that. You actually need to work it out, okay? So what is 25% of 13? Okay, so you need to figure out what that is. So 25% of 13, yeah, we know how to do that. Well, 0.25 times 13, correct? Because that's 25% of, whenever you hear the word of, think times. And 25% as a decimal is 0.25. And that equals 3.25. And we'll do the same thing with 75, okay? 13 equals 9.75. Now, it is not the 3.2, it's the 25th percentile is not 3.25. Remember, it's 3.25th score. So we're going to go up. So 3.25 is about here. Let's go across. What does it look like? Looks like about 22, let's say. So let's say it's about 22, okay? And now, so that is our 25th percentile. Let's do the same thing for 75. So we'll go up to 9.75, which is about up here. Go across, blah, 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 blah. Down, 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 down. That looks like it's about 48. Okay? So our interquartile range is the big one minus the little one. So that's 48 minus 22. So our interquartile range is 26. Okay? This is our interquartile range. Now, if we were drawing a box and whisker plot, that would be, you know, we draw the box, we've got our median, we've got that type of thing, yeah? This is the median. So what did we say that was? That was 40. So if we drew like a little scale here, this would be 40. The bottom range, so the bottom of the interquartile range is 22. Remember, we said that over here. The top of it was 48, so this bit here is going to be 48. And what would the lowest score be? Well, the lowest score was in the 0 to 10, so let's make this one 0. And the top one was in 90 to 100, so let's make this one 100. Okay, so you can see I clearly haven't drawn this to scale because this one here should be even less than halfway up the scale because it's not even at 50 yet, is it? So this is clearly not to scale. Anyway, you don't necessarily need to draw one of these unless you're told to, but that's just to help you look at it and a bit of a reminder about how they work. Now, so far what we've done is mark all the bits that we need to. Now what we can do is see which values might be outliers. Now we can sort of guess because of the way that I've drawn the data, but I tried to make it really obvious for this example. So what you do to find out whether there's an outlier, you figure out, so we're actually going to do, remember you do 1.5 times whatever the interquartile range is. So in this case, it's 1.5 times, what did we say the interquartile range is? 26. So we're going to do 26. Which is, hang on, what did I do before? Oh, yeah. What? Oh, I skipped a step when I was doing my examples on the thing before. Well, that wasn't very smart of me, was it? Okay, so we're going to do 26, which is 39. Okay? Whoa, where's my pen? Is 39. Okay? So now we've figured out how far away from the median we're allowed to be. We are allowed to be 39 points in either direction of the median, okay? So what does that take us up to? Well, the median is 40, so that means we're allowed to go as high as 79, okay? That is the top score we're allowed to count before our scores become outliers. And we can go all the way down to 1, okay, before we count it as an outlier, because it's 39 either side of 40. So looking at our outliers, well, we definitely are going to say these two scores are outliers because they're above 79, and so is this one. This one is also above 79, okay? So we have to discount this data because it's going to ruin our average, and it's just going to ruin the analysis of our data, okay? So these two scores are outliers. This one here is okay because it's still in the 0 to 10 section, and we said 1 is unacceptable, but, you know, well, this is still in the range, so it's probably above 1, but that's still okay. So anyway, we're discounting these ones up here. These ones are called outliers. So hopefully that makes sense. So really what you need to do, I'm just going to change my color again. Okay, so you need to find the median, okay? There's a good place to start. If you don't have things in a table, you probably will. So first of all, why don't you draw this, okay? So draw a graph. That's your first step, actually. So draw your frequency, your cumulative frequency curve. Remember, it's cumulative, so you keep adding on. So your graph will never, ever go down. If your line starts going down, you've stuffed it up, okay? It needs to keep going up. Then find your median. Remember, n plus 1 over 2. Then find the interquartile range. So you need the 25th percentile and you need the 75th percentile, which all you do is 0.25 times whatever this number is and 0.75 times whatever this number is, okay? And the important bit to remember is that it's the 3.25th score, okay? So you've got to look on your graph. You can't just say it's 3.25. So many people are stopping there. So you need the median, 25th percentile, 75th percentile. Your interquartile range you've got to remember as well. That's just the top one minus the bottom one, okay? Then once you've got that, I know there are a lot of steps. Once you've got that, you do this bit. Just times it by 1.5, and that is how far away from the median you're allowed to be. We were allowed to be 39 away from the median, which we discovered before was 40. Okay? Hopefully you don't have any more questions. If you do, watch it again. Otherwise, you can email me, and yeah, good luck.